Hello everyone, I'm Kara Minowie and this is Shell Point Today for Wednesday, September 17th. On today's show, we'll get a visit from Tara Hazard and nurse practitioner Dr. Carol Clark. They'll tell us about the new Easy Access Patient Portal, a wonderful new tool that makes accessing your medical information a snap. Plus, Herb Sklaa will be here to talk about his upcoming masterclass, Painting a Self-Portrait, which gets underway next Wednesday. But first, we want to remind you that the latest edition of Health Connections is available today. Filled with some great offerings to help keep you fit and healthy, the Health Connections brochure can be found online at www.shellpoint.net/healthconnection. And tomorrow, come hear the sweet sounds of nature. The Sanibel Captiva Conservation Foundation's Christy Anders will be teaching you your ABCs of birds. Nearly 24 of the most common and most easily recognized birds will be discussed. The class will take place tomorrow in the Grand Cypress Room at the Woodlands from 10 a.m. until 11:30 a.m. Sign-ups are required. For more information or to sign up for any of the activities we've talked about, stop by the Island Service Desk in the Resident Activity Center on the island or call 454-2282 or the Woodlands Service Desk at 454-2054. Now, many of you may have gone high-tech and are familiar with smartphones, tablets, and laptops. You know that they have cameras that give you the ability to take pictures, and one of the crazes of those newfangled gadgets is to take pictures of yourself, or selfies as they're called. But the original selfies, self-portraits, are done the old-fashioned way with paints, pencils, crayons, and the like. That's where resident painting expert Herb Sklaa of Eagles Preserve comes in. He sits down with Terry Kolath today to talk about his upcoming master's class, Painting a Self-Portrait.
Hello everyone, I'm here with Herb Sklaa of Eagles Preserve. We're talking about yet another new class from Herb. This one is Painting a Self-Portrait. Thank you for joining me, Herb.
You're more than welcome.
Now, a self-portrait is a very different thing to paint than most things, right?
Well, it's really a journey into oneself, right. and you learn a lot about yourself. And so this class is going to be a little different, and it's going to follow a little different format. We're going to start off with a coffee at my house, where we're going to talk about what it's like to do a self-portrait, how you should present yourself, what are you going to wear for the photo session, which, by the way, will be at the new photo studio, and I will take everybody's picture so they can paint from it. And I will reveal my secrets for how to get a great sketch that's accurate on the canvas. That's so important in portrait painting, self-portrait or just plain portrait painting. You have to start off with a very accurate sketch, because if you're off a little here, your eyes look different. If you're off a little there, your mouth, and it doesn't quite look like it. So all this is very important. But I think the real heart of this class is the discovery of what you're going to learn. And the class after the coffee at my house, it goes to the photo studio, and so everybody will be prepared based on our discussion what they're going to wear, how they're going to present themselves. I take their pictures, and there's a week lapse where I process all this, and I can give it to them. Then we start painting, and we continue painting, though the class officially ends, I think, right before Thanksgiving. It doesn't end there. It doesn't end there, because in January, I'm going to be giving a lecture on why famous artists like Rembrandt did 20 self-portraits or more, and a lot of famous artists did that. And so at that lecture, all the students will be there with their pictures, with their paintings, and one by one they'll show them, and they'll talk about their experience about doing a self-portrait. So you're going to see all your neighbors with their self-portraits and hear about that experience, and I hope it'll be wonderful. I'm sure it will be.
I'm sure it will be too. Now, one of the things I really appreciate about your coming up with new classes is not only do you extend yourself, a professional artist, but you also help our current artists have opportunities to extend themselves. You know, to make your own sketch, to paint your own self-portrait, it's going to take a painter and another wonderful opportunity. Well,
it takes a little more thought than just doing a scenery or something. For instance, this painting, I try to make, I was a lot younger there, wore glasses and a mustache, but besides that, this really tells a story. It's an artist sitting at a canvas. The canvas is empty. And that's always the hardest part for most artists, is to make that first stroke on that canvas. So this was trying to show what that anxiety was about. You know, self-portrait artist, blank canvas.
Interesting. So much about creativity, period. The writer's hardest thing. It's that first sentence.
I once had an instructor who said, you know when you make your first mistake when you're painting? And the class said no. And I said, you make your first mistake when you make your first stroke. And then you spend the rest of the time correcting. So every stroke, and it's so true, because when you start painting and all of a sudden you change something, you say, oh, that's right, but now this is wrong. And so you spend the rest of that time. So this is going to be just a wonderful exploration, this whole class.
It really is nice to have a chance to explore. The self has to be kind of like the last frontier, right?
Well, yeah, it is. The first painting, self-portrait painting I did really wasn't me. It was my wife and I. We had just retired, and I was standing behind her with a palette, and she was sitting at a ceramic table. So she started to take up ceramics, and I started painting. And the name of the painting is The Painter and the Ceramicist, and that's was the first one I did, and that told a story. And if you look at it carefully, it even tells more of a story, because you can see a little of the Florida fauna and background, so you know that that's where it started, you know.
Well, if you are interested in extending your abilities as a painter, there's still time to sign up for Painting a Self-Portrait with Herb Sklaa, and it's going to be on 9 Wednesdays.
Thanks, Terry. That sounds like a wonderful and relaxing way to spend a morning. Well, we have some more exciting information to share with you right now. Many of you may have heard about the new Easy Access patient portal that was just made available to residents this week. This amazing new source of information allows you to access your medical information from the Shell Point Medical Center, all while working on your computer. Here now, with more on how simple it is to use, are Terry Koleth and Tara Hazard, along with nurse practitioner Dr. Carol Clark.
Hi everyone, I'm Terry Koleth. I'm here today with two very special people, Tara Hazard, Shell Point's informatics specialist, and Dr. Carol Clark, our ARNP and our own medical center. And we're talking about something brand new for Shell Point that you're going to be very curious about. It's called Patient Portal, or Easy Access. And we're talking about a way you can come and find out more information in the Academy of Lifelong Learning. Thank you for joining me, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
All right, Patient Portal Easy Access, brand new to us. What is that, Tara?
The Patient Portal is an online 24/7 way for residents to access their healthcare information, and they can communicate with their healthcare team at the medical center. It is HIPAA secure and government certified, so you can feel comfortable in that there's a security involved in this new product.
Okay, we've all heard some of those words that you're talking about, and now we're going to bring it home to Shell Point. And why are we doing this at Shell Point, Carol? Why are we doing this at Shell Point, and why now?
Well, actually, there's a huge historical piece to this story. For the last 30 years, the officials in health at the highest levels in our government have been crying out that our healthcare costs have just expanded exponentially. And yet we had some of the lowest outcomes in the world for wellness, even though we had the highest per capita costs. So actually we've had this language going on among healthcare think tanks for many, many years that we have to get to a better place with people taking individual responsibility for health. Well, those things were all good and well, but then came the question, how are we going to know that we're doing it? So the government has put some things in place that we actually are complying with. It's called meaningful use, and an aspect of that is that we have a mechanism for patients and their families to communicate with providers 24/7, as Tara mentioned.
So we know there's a need. There's been a need historically for quite a while for that communication, but no real way that the patient could control it.
Right.
So now Shell Point is kind of on the forefront with making this a reality.
Yes, especially in the CCRC environment. We really are probably leaders in that area of information technology.
Okay, what are the advantages for ShellPoint?
One of the things that the portal does, it allows the processes within the medical center itself to be streamlined. So the providers are doing care and putting into their software product information that is critical health elements about this patient. That can be communicated easily and quickly to a referral source, and the resident can easily and quickly access that information rather than waiting days to get requests for medical records. They can go online and see the kinds of things about their health care or the health information that's being stored on them and make certain that it's correct, download it, take it with them to somewhere else. So they have a very immediate way of communicating with the healthcare team when something's not right or they have questions about what they see.
So not only do we have this need to communicate that Carol has mentioned, to cut costs, to streamline and communicate, we also have medical specialties, and we have patients going from one doctor to another doctor. How do they communicate? How do we make sure that they're communicating what we understand, and how do we give feedback? Is feedback going to be a possibility?
Yes, absolutely. Possibly in the future there could be surveys, but the resident is free to send a communication through the portal immediately.
To their physician.
It goes to the medical team, and the physician gets it after that.
So I can see the advantage for the resident then. They get their information, they can respond. For instance, if your doctor says, I want to know your blood pressure readings for a couple of days, can the patient put that in?
Yes.
Yeah. Instead of waiting, calling, people translating to other people. All right, now, I hear that there's a blue button. What is that all about?
The blue button is kind of the government's way of giving patients an identifier to say, this is yours. So most products, like our patient portal that even other doctors would have a blue button. It's a quick, easy way for an individual to just basically push the blue button, and up comes a summary of all their health critical elements. It would have their problems listed. It would have their medications listed. It would have the lab values. It could have any number of different things. It'll have their allergies on there. So with one button, they get this summary and history, and then they can download it, print it, and make sure that it's correct, hand it to someone else, emergency team, or just another physician that they want to see.
Or talk to their family.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, this is information you might want to know about me. So blue button, that's something we do on our computer.
Yep, it's literally a little blue button, and it says blue button right on it.
Can't miss it.
You can't miss it.
It's fabulous. What else are we going to cover in this class?
We're going to review the procedures for how to do this, and it's really all for the purpose of improving care coordination, reducing medical errors, improving privacy and security. And in the end, we hope it shows that we're taking credit for wellness management and responsibility for your own health through a documented means.
Well, as always, I want to take a few minutes on behalf of our community to say, I know this doesn't just happen. A lot of people work on this to make it happen, and you represent two of the people on the forefront. So we're grateful, as always, for what you do on our behalf. Thank you. And you would be silly to miss this opportunity to come and find out all about the patient portal and easy access. Both of these people will be there to share information with you Tuesday, September 23rd from 1 to 2:30 in the Grand Cypress Room. Come and find out what it's all about and how it's really easy access.
What a terrific tool for you to be able to have access to your medical records with just the click of a button. Now it's time to cover all of today's happenings, Academy news, menus, and Village Church connections.
Well, it's time for the happenings segment of Shell Point TV. Welcome, everybody. I'm Bev Chandley here with Mary Franklin. We're going to go through today's activities for you. We're going to start with 7:45, Men's Bible Study. That'll be down in the Osprey Room on the island. Our Lilly and Company Jewelers will be here for their weekly service at 8:45 in the Resident Activities Center. Back to the tennis courts we go at the Woodlands at 9 o'clock for men's match play, doubles tennis. The watercolor group with Phil Hilton will be in the art studio at 9 o'clock. Then at 9:15, we have card making and scrapbooking group. That is held in the Tarpon Room, down in the tunnel. At 10:15, the Model Yacht Sailing Club will be down at the Woodlands Lake. And then at 10:15, we have the Women's Ministries Global Outreach. Now that'll be in the Social Center. And our 11 o'clock activity is the Neuropathy group. That's in the Oak Room of the Woodlands. And to round out the morning, we have 11:30 Health Connections class, specifics in cardio conditioning. That'll be in the Health Club. That's currently full. Here's Mary with your afternoon lineup.
Thanks, Bev. We start after lunch at 1 o'clock with chess being played in the Library Lounge. 1:45, Balance and Mobility Training Level 1 will take place in the Health Club on the island. We have a Health Connection special presentation at 2 o'clock today. Is your heart healthy? This will be a great presentation in the Grand Cypress Room at the Woodlands. Then at 3, we have Bible study group in the community room of King's Crown. Also at 3, Pilates stretch will take place in the Health Club on the island. And if you're part of the memory care group, you have a meeting at 3 o'clock in the Behavioral Health Center, which is on the 2nd floor of the Medical Center. 3:30, Aqua Agility and Conditioning will take place at the LifeQuest Aquatic Center. And we head indoors for indoor bocce in the Health Club on the island at 4:30. And we wrap up Wednesday evening with prayer and praise in the Social Center at 7:15. Well, we hope you get out and make it a great day today. Enjoy yourself, and we look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow.
Hello, I'm Terry Kolath with your Academy information for Wednesday. At 1 o'clock, Intermediate Bridge continues in the game room at the Woodlands. At 1:30, a Basics Prep School will continue in the Computer Center at the Woodlands. And at 2 o'clock, our paper book folding class continues in the Sable Room at the Woodlands. Tomorrow, we welcome Christy Anders, Education Director of the Sanibel Captiva Conservation Foundation, to discuss the ABCs of birds.
Menus for Wednesday. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter is roast beef with roasted red potatoes and carrots. The dinner special is the pasta buffet for $13.95, and the soup of the day is pasta fagioli. In the Island Cafe for lunch on Wednesday, the special is a turkey club sandwich with chips for $7.25. The dinner special is grilled shrimp for $8.25. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
Welcome to Village Church Connections. I'm David Pavey, Assistant Pastor. During the Second World War, I lived in a thatched cottage in the pastoral countryside of Wiltshire in the southwest of England. Far from the bombs that were falling on the cities, my world was composed of verdant fields and hedgerows, farm animals, and crops of hay and corn. Every now and then, however, there was a reminder that the country was at war. Our tranquil life would be disturbed by convoys of military vehicles which would pass our garden gate on their way to or from nearby Salisbury Plain, home to the largest military training area in the United Kingdom. A cartoon from those days is lodged in my mind. Local recruits from the army are on parade, marching through their hometown behind the military band, ready to go off to war. Concerned parents are looking on with pride. Suddenly, a doting mother exclaims to her friend, "Oh, look, Florence, they're all out of step except our George." In the book of Galatians chapter 5, verse 13, the Apostle Paul writes, "Let us keep in step with the Spirit." Sadly enough, too many of us Christians, like our George, think we're doing fine, but we're out of step with the Spirit. Keeping in step with the Holy Spirit means that our behavior derives not from the mechanical observance of a legal code, but from our relationship with God. My wife cooks my supper, for example, not because I order her to, but because she loves me. The result may be the same. I get my supper. But how different the motivation. I know a man who as a teenager found an enormous challenge to keep his bedroom tidy. His mother would shake her head and murmur prophetically, "Son, I don't know whom you're going to marry, but I'll tell her I tried." Some years later, when the bride had been chosen and the wedding ceremony was history, we learned that it took less than a week for the young man to learn not to kick his dirty socks under the bed at night. He was now motivated by a loving relationship rather than adherence to rules. Again, I know a man who, when a lad of 16, his father asked to do a chore, perhaps mow the lawn. "Make me," responded the lad, albeit with a twinkle in his eye. Said the father, "I know you're a young man now and you're bigger than I am, but I also know that because of your love for me, you're going to want to please me." The boy did the chore, not because of instruction, but out of love for his father. The Galatians, to whom Paul writes, had begun their Christian life on the basis of a relationship with God, but had let someone convince them that Christian living involved obeying a list of rules. They had fallen out of step with the Holy Spirit. Jesus told his disciples that if they loved him, they would want to please him. The Christian life wasn't about rules, but about relationship. You may remember a dramatic moment during the women's 3,000-meter race at the 1984 Olympic Games in Los Angeles. The media billed it as a duel between American world champion Mary Decker and Zola Budd, who ran barefooted for Britain. Decker was ahead, but just over halfway through the race, Budd pulled ahead of Decker, who tripped over her leg, fell forward, and crashed onto the infield. In similar fashion, many Christians have fallen by trading their relationship with Christ for bondage to a legal code. They have fallen out of step with the Holy Spirit. So don't be like our George. Keep in step with the Spirit. And thank you for tuning in to Village Church Connections.
We're glad you joined us for today's show. Tune in tomorrow when Anna Smith from Finemark Bank will be here to tell us about next week's 5th anniversary celebration for the financial institution here at Shell Point. Penny Modrich will be here to talk tech in Tech Tips, and a staple of a healthy lifestyle, salads, specifically a delightful wedge salad in What's Cooking with Ruth Duber. Until then, this is Shell Point Today for Wednesday, September 17th. I'm Kara Minoui, and from all of us here at Shell Point TV, we hope you have a great day today, and we'll see you again tomorrow.